For those of us who live in our heads, thinkers, analyzers, educated folks who've been conditioned to believe that our minds have all the answers, I want to remind you that there's a whole universe below your head. It's called your body. We've been educated and conditioned to ignore our body. As humans stepped into the industrial age, the focus was on production. It was on producing the most amount of stuff in the least amount of time. In order for the assembly lines to work, we required humans to act like machines. The messages of the body have no place in a factory. We've moved beyond the industrial era, but our educational system and the way we approach business hasn't gotten the memo that humans don't have to be robots anymore, because now we actually have robots for that. Many of the systems we all buy into are still set up as though we don't have bodies and cut us off from a vast amount of information and wisdom below our neck. Ironically enough, the traditional medical system is one of the very places that we are most cut off from the wisdom of our bodies. We're at the dawning of a new era where actually tapping into and working with our bodies is becoming the next frontier of enhancing productivity and enhancing the cultivation of the human genius. As we enter this new age of thinking, it's time that we consciously create our own systems. When you run your own business, or even if you work in a company that's open to doing things differently, we have the opportunity to change it up and begin to embrace living in a body as a source of power and productivity, as opposed to seeing it as a hindrance. Okay, so what are we even talking about here? What does it mean to work as though you have a body? The first place to look is at cycles. The industrial factory model would have us produce all day, every day, at the exact same level, no matter what's going on outside the factory walls or within our bodies. But if we work this way, asking ourselves to be in a perpetual harvest, we get burnout and depression and the feeling of, is this really all there is? In fact, there's actually a disease in Japan called karoshi, which directly translates to overwork death. You don't have to look at the data connecting stress to our leading causes of death, stroke, heart attacks, cancer, for very long to know that we have a problem. If you're a woman, you're naturally a cyclical being. What's so great about being a cyclical being is that we have a really great model for the inherent abundance that comes from the cyclical nature of the earth. Men are actually cyclical as well if they're open to tapping into it. It just doesn't show up as obviously as it does in women. When you look at nature, you see how cycles work and why tapping into them doesn't mean sacrificing productivity or abundance. Living cyclically actually enhances productivity and abundance, and we can see how this works by observing the way plants and trees grow. There's a time for rest and a time for new growth, full buds and full explosion for harvest. There's a time for harvest and winding down. We've completely disconnected from the cycles that are actually there to replenish us. But when we are aligned with Mother Nature in our body, because our bodies are nature, all we have to do to create abundance is follow the lead of our mother. Mother Nature is the most inherently abundant system in existence. There's more than enough for all of us to thrive here on Earth, all the plants, all the animals. I understand that our resources aren't always available for all, but that's because humans have a hoarding issue, not because there's actually not enough to go around. We don't have to reinvent, we just need to tap back in and reconnect with that inherent wisdom that lives below our neck. It's the best model for abundance that doesn't come at the cost of our health, our earth, or other living beings. Here's what it actually looks like. Rest. Stop working regularly. Prune back your projects to make room for new life. Take things off your task list. If you get lost, think about organic farming and not overworking the soil. Expecting to be in perpetual harvest 24/7 is not possible when it comes to the earth, and we are made of that same stuff. It doesn't mean you have to lower your expectations or that you can't create amazing work and be super productive. It does mean doing less in order to get better results. Our hard work above all mentality may find this one hard to wrap our heads around, but if you give it a try, you'll be amazed at what you can create with less effort and less time, but with more focused attention in the time you devote. When you treat the earth well, the earth provides, and it's the same with our bodies. Tend to your soil and your physical being, and your business results will be better. I love hearing entrepreneurs like Richard Branson say that the secret to their success is exercise. Some of the most productive people on the planet totally get it. Take care of your body, and your business will thrive because your business comes from your body. The way so many of us expect ourselves to be producing all the time, no matter what our body is actually wanting, is hurting our bodies, and it's actually hurting our productivity. We can only create good work for so long, and if we keep working past that point, the work suffers and our body suffers. So, work as though you have a body, because you do, and she'll always guide you to a sustainable, abundant harvest.